It is a Friday night and $500 just left your account without a sound. A dinner out you offered to cover, a tank of gas, a few rounds of drinks, 2 subscriptions you forgot you were even paying for, something sitting in an online cart at 11 at night that you bought before you could talk yourself out of it. None of it felt like a decision, and that is the strange, quiet power of $500. It is small enough to disappear every single month, and you never once feel it leave. Now picture a second version of you. Same apartment, same job, same tired Friday, same $500. But this version does one boring, unglamorous thing with that money instead. He does not earn more than you. He does not get lucky. He does not start a business or find a hot stock or inherit a single cent. He just takes that same $500 every month and refuses to stop for 30 years. 3 decades later, the first version of you has a drawer full of receipts and no memory of where any of it went. The second version is sitting on $680,000. Same income, same city, same life, one different habit. And the distance between those two people is not luck, and it is not talent. It is math, slow, patient, almost invisible math that almost nobody believes until they watch it happen 1 year at a time. So let us watch it happen. Because if you are honest, $500 a month has always sounded like both too much and too little. Too much to easily spare, and far too little to ever change your life. That second feeling is the exact lie that keeps most people precisely where they are. So before we follow the money, understand what $500 a month really is. It is not spare change. Over 30 years, it is $180,000 of your own life energy. Hours traded, shifts worked, mornings you did not want to get out of bed. The only real question is what that $180,000 becomes, depending on one decision you make with it. And here is the quiet good news hidden inside that number. $500 a month is not some fortune reserved for people who already have money. For most people, it is not earned, it is found. It is the 2 food delivery orders that quietly became 4. The subscriptions nobody would miss if they vanished. The upgrade you did not actually need. The habit of buying small things to feel a little better on a hard day. You do not have to earn more to find $500. You usually just have to look honestly at where it already goes. The money was never the hard part. The hard part is deciding one single time that the version of you 30 years from now is worth more than the version of you that wants something tonight. And the decision is smaller than you think. On the first of every month, before the money has a chance to evaporate, $500 moves out of your checking account automatically. You never see it, you never touch it, but where it goes splits your entire future into 2 completely different lives. Behind the first door, you save it. You move that $500 into an ordinary bank account and let it sit, safe and untouched. Do that faithfully for 30 years and you will have exactly $180,000. Not $1 more. And here is the cruel part. After 30 years of rising prices, that $180,000 will buy less than $100,000 buys today. You were disciplined for 3 decades, and inflation quietly ate a third of it while you were following the rules. Saving alone does not build wealth. It just loses slowly. Behind the second door, you invest it, the same $500 into a simple index fund, a single, boring investment that quietly owns a slice of 500 of the largest companies on Earth. You are not picking winners. You are not staring at charts at midnight. You are buying the whole economy in one click and going back to your life. That one difference, invest instead of save, is the difference between ending with $180,000 and ending with $680,000. $500,000, decided by a single word almost no one ever bothered to explain to you. So you choose the second door. You make your first $500 contribution, and nothing happens. The screen just says $500. No fireworks, no feeling. It looks exactly like it did in your checking account, except now you cannot spend it. This is the first test, and it is a quiet one because for a long time, doing the right thing is going to feel like doing nothing at all. Year 1. You have done everything right. 12 payments, $6,000 of your own money, moved without fail. And what do you have to show for a full year of discipline? About $6,200. The entire market, the whole global economy, handed you an extra $200. Barely a tank of gas. This is the exact spot where almost everyone quits. The sacrifice is real, the reward is invisible, and $200 feels like a joke. But that $200 is not the reward. That $200 is a signal. For the first time in your life, money you already earned went out and earned a little more on its own while you slept. It is almost too small to see. It is also the entire secret, just at a size that does not impress anyone yet. Year 5. You have now put in $30,000 of your own money, $500 at a time, 60 months in a row. Your balance is about $36,000. Look closely at that gap. The market has added around $6,000 on top of everything you put in. More than an entire year of your contributions, created out of nothing but patience. Your life has not changed. Same car, same apartment, same paycheck. But underneath the surface, something is now working a second shift you never see. It works nights. It works weekends. It works holidays. It never calls in sick, and it never asks for a raise. You are still doing almost all of the lifting, for now. Year 10. This is the year it stops being a savings account and becomes something with a life of its own. Over the decade, you have contributed $60,000. Your balance is $86,000, which means $26,000 in that account is money you never worked a single hour for. It was made by the money that was already sitting there. And a shift has happened that almost nobody feels in the moment. Some months now, the market adds more to your account than you do. 10 years ago, you were a person with a habit. Today, you are a person with an engine. You are no longer the only one working. Your money has started pulling its own weight beside you. And the strange irony is that those first flat, boring, pointless feeling years are the only reason this moment exists. You did not get here by being brilliant. You got here by being impossible to stop. Year 15. Halfway. You have now contributed $90,000 of your own money, and your balance sits around $166,000. Stop and notice what that means. Nearly half of your account, about $76,000, is money you never worked a single shift for. 15 years ago, every dollar in there was yours, placed by hand. Now the money is matching you almost dollar for dollar, and it is only getting louder. This is also the stretch where life turns expensive and demanding. A bigger place, maybe a family, a car that finally dies at the worst time. And every one of those pressures whispers the exact same thing. Pause the $500 just for a little while, you have earned a break. The people who listen to that whisper never find out what the second half of this curve looks like. You keep it running. And somewhere in these middle years, the real test arrives. Because the market does not climb in a straight line. It lurches, it panics, it crashes. 1 year, maybe year 18, you open the app and a third of your money is simply gone. You had built almost $230,000, and in a matter of weeks, it reads closer to $150,000. Nearly $70,000 vanished. Every headline is screaming. Every instinct you have is begging you to sell what is left before it gets worse. This is the test that actually decides everything. Not the discipline of putting money in, but the discipline of not ripping it back out. Because the people who sell here turn a temporary drop into a permanent loss. You do the far harder thing. You do nothing. You keep your $500 going, which now quietly buys those same 500 companies while they are on sale. And within a few years, the market does what it has always eventually done. It recovers, and then it climbs higher than it ever was. The crash did not punish you. It rewarded the one person calm enough to stay. Year 20. And now something quietly historic happens. Something you will miss if you blink. You have put in $120,000 of your own money over 2 decades. Your balance is about $290,000. Set those two numbers side by side because they have just crossed. The growth alone, $170,000, is now larger than every dollar you have contributed in your entire life. The money your money made is bigger than the money you made. That is the crossover. That is the exact moment you stop being a saver and quietly become an owner. From here forward, your own $500 payments matter less and less, and the machine matters more and more. You are barely pushing anymore. It is pulling, and it pulls harder every year that passes. Year 25. You have contributed $150,000. Your balance is roughly $440,000. Watch what just happened. In only the last 5 years, your account grew by about $150,000, the same amount it took you the entire first 25 years to save out of your own pocket. 5 years of growth now equals 25 years of your sweat. This is the part of the curve almost nobody has the patience to reach. This is where it finally leaves the ground. Year 30. The habit is over. 360 payments. $500 a month. For 3 straight decades. Through recessions, through crashes, through every single year that handed you a reason to stop. You put in $180,000. You are looking at $680,000. Sit inside those two numbers for a moment. Of that $680,000, only $180,000 ever came out of your paycheck. The other $500,000, $500,000, you never earned at any job, on any shift, for any boss. It was made quietly, in the background, while you were busy living your life. And here is the part that breaks people's intuition completely. Look at where the money actually came from. In your first 10 years, the account grew by about $86,000. In your second 10 years, it grew by roughly $204,000. But in the final 10 years alone, it grew by nearly $390,000. More than the first 20 years put together. You did the exact same thing every single year. You never raised the payment. You never got smarter. And yet the last decade did more work than the first 2 decades combined. That is the thing almost no one understands about wealth, and it is exactly why almost no one waits long enough to see it. Growth like this is not a line. It is a curve. For years it crawls along the floor and makes you feel like a fool for trying. And then, near the end, it bends upward so steeply that the final stretch dwarfs everything that came before it. But almost everyone quits in the flat part, the boring part, the part that feels like nothing is happening, and so they never live to see the part where it bends. The reward was never hiding in the beginning. It was waiting at the end on the other side of the patience. This is why consistency beats intensity every single time. The person who invests $500 a month for 30 years and never flinches will quietly pass the person who invests $2,000 a month for 5 years and then stops. It was never about how much you could put in. It was about how long you were willing to leave it alone. The market did not reward the intense, or the brilliant, or the loud. It rewarded the one who refused to leave the room. And over these 30 years, you will watch other people try to beat this. A coworker will brag about the one stock that doubled in a month. A friend will swear he can feel when the market is about to turn. Someone will pull everything out at the top, certain he will buy back in cheaper. And almost every one of them, stretched across 3 decades, ends up behind you, the person who did nothing clever at all. Because for every story that worked, 10 quietly did not, and nobody ever posts those. You were not trying to be smart. You were trying to be consistent. And consistent, held for 30 years, turns out to be the smartest thing in the room. And notice what you actually built. You did not just become a person who spends $500 a little differently. You became a person who owns a piece of the economy that pays you whether you show up or not. That $680,000, left alone to keep compounding, does not stop the day you do. It can become the thing that hands your child a starting line you were never given. This is how real wealth has always moved through the families that never make the news. Not through one brilliant move, not through one lucky year, but through one boring decision that no one had the patience to interrupt. An ordinary habit, repeated long enough, quietly becomes generational wealth. Maybe you are hearing this at 25, with the whole runway stretched out in front of you. Or maybe you are hearing it at 45, with a quiet voice telling you that you already missed your chance. You did not. The best time to start your 30-year clock was 30 years ago. The second best time is the 1st of next month. A shorter clock still bends upward. A smaller number still compounds. The only version of this story that truly ends at 0 is the one where you keep waiting for the perfect moment to begin. Because underneath all of the math, the truth is almost unfairly simple. The quiet rich are not the people who earned the most or found the perfect investment or got lucky at exactly the right time. They are the ones who started early, stayed boring, and refused to wait for anyone's permission to begin. The $680,000 was never really the point. It was only ever the scoreboard. What you actually bought, $500 at a time, was a different relationship with time itself. And that is the most ordinary, extraordinary thing a person can ever do with money. New stories from the other side. Every day. I will see you at the next level.